Good morning. My name's Kevin Hicks. I'm pastor of Conyers Presbyterian Church. It is July 12th, 2021, and it's time for the Monday morning message. What do you think of our location? I like it because in this particular spot, and it tends to be only this spot, you can actually see the halo around my head. I look kind of like a Eastern Orthodox icon. And it's always there, but you just can't see it normally. So I like to come sit up here where I can see the halo that goes around my head because of how perfect I am. You probably don't have one, but not everybody can be as perfect as me. I'm looking at the Sermon on the Mount, and it tells us how we're supposed to live as disciples. It talks about murder and adultery and divorce, and it says don't. It tells us how we're supposed to treat others and care for them, and it says do. And the problem is sometimes we get so caught up with how righteous we are in this our own halo that all we can really do is apply these passages to other people. And so we sit and we judge other people while we marvel at our own righteousness and our own halo, if you will. And then we get to chapter 7 of Matthew in the Sermon on the Mount, and it says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured against you." So I used a quote from Theodore Roosevelt 2 weeks ago in my sermon. And it was about being, the people refer to it as the man in the arena. And I asked the congregation to raise their hands if they were familiar with that quote. And most people were not familiar with that quote. This was a speech that Roosevelt gave in 1910, April 1910, in France. He was in Paris and talking about citizenship. And he said that, among other things he talked about, he said the poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. And I know people who, I'm sure you can think of somebody, I can think of somebody right now that always has a bit of a sneer and looking down on other people, a critic who likes to point out where other people are failing. And clearly in the Sermon on the Mount, after he goes through all this teaching, you can kind of get the feeling that now you got a way to evaluate everybody else and judge everybody else. And then he says, no, that's not what it's about. It's about you living up to it. This quote from Theodore Roosevelt is similar and powerful. So I'm going to read it again. It's the quote from Theodore Roosevelt says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man or the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place or her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." Theodore Roosevelt. That's good stuff. So I want to invite you to take a time to examine your thoughts this week and ask yourself, are they the thoughts of the critic who sits and points out the flaws of the people who are actually trying it? Or is it a bit more humility and you are applying those biblical passages more to yourself and you're striving and whatever level you can do to be the one in the arena? Now, that can be active and physical and present. It can be sitting at home on the telephone, calling and checking on people. It can be writing a letter. There's all kinds of things we can do to live into God's calling that put us in the arena where at least we're trying. And that's the invitation I have for you today. Find one way this week to dare greatly, to strive valiantly, to live into your great enthusiasms and devotions, spend yourself in a worthy cause, whatever that might be. It's going to look different for everyone. So you can't compare yourself to everyone. Don't expect to have a halo like me, because I have a halo until I move to the left or the right. Then it just disappears for some reason. So my invitation to you, do something bold this week. Be the man or woman in the arena and not the cold, timid soul that is criticizing how they're doing it. Amen. You have a fantastic week. God bless you. Amen.